Hey, Ben Baxter here, back in the Anglers All Tying Studio. Today we're going to be tying up a Foxee red Clouser for you. So I'm starting off with a size 6 200R. You can easily tie this if you're wanting to go after some saltwater fish, whether it's redfish or jacks or bonefish or anything like that. It's a really good shrimpy pattern, but also works in freshwater as well. I'm using a 6/0 and a tan. I'm tying in some, these are extra small dumbbell eyes. If you wanted it to be heavier, you could obviously use some bigger eyes than this if you wanted. Definitely use some glue to make this fly last a real long time. I was fishing in the Keys last year and had a fly that lasted, I mean, we were just getting into small ladyfish and some speckled trout and stuff like that, which this fly worked really well for too, but it lasted forever if you use some glue on it. So that's a pretty straightforward tie too. It's just like your standard Clouser, just tied with some different materials. Next, I'm just gonna pull some fur off of this Arctic foxtail. Some hair. Don't need too much here. Again, just like bucktail, you really don't need a whole lot, just more trying to get the profile out of it. Pulled some of the long fibers out, and this might even be a little more than I need, but I'll get some of the under fur out here and see what we end up with. Again, I'm just kind of getting to the tips here, holding the tips and then just pulling out the excess. Whatever comes with, just trying to thin this up a little bit. I don't want to get too sparse, but you don't need a whole lot for this fly. It's not meant to be super bushy, but you do still kind of want to create some sort of taper to this fly. And shrimp typically aren't super skinny like a minnow. They have a little more bulk to them, but so want the tail to be about the length of the shank, 1.5 to 2 times or so. For me, that seems long enough. So I'm gonna go ahead and hold this here, tie that in at the head. Kind of wanted to twist on me, so kind of recenter that. Couple wraps up under just to create a good base behind those eyes there. And just like a Clouser, we're making touching wraps, real clean wraps towards the back here. It doesn't have to be perfect because you will go back over the top of this. I'm using a Danville and a 6/0. A UTC might help you keep this super clean looking, but again, like I said, as you go back over it, you can cover up some of those spots there. Real clean looking. Clean that up. Got my scissors, I'm gonna trim out this excess in the front up here. Worry too much about cleaning this up because we can finish that off at the end of this fly here, but just make a few more securing wraps and get that tightened up in there. I'm just gonna flip the vise over here. Again, you can put some glue along this too if you want, make it a little stronger at this point. And then even do some more wraps over the top of the glue to make it really strong if you wanted. All right, now that we got the tail in and we cleaned up the front end of this fly here, I'm gonna tie in, this is actually a speckled gold Flashabou. You can kind of see that it's got some black and some gold in there. I kind of like that texture to the Flashabou. Just a gold or a bronze or anything like that would work here. Just tying that in. Right in the middle of this fly here. Right by the eyes. Pull the other side back. I got about 4 strands here. You don't need too much. That in and jump in front of the eyes there just to kind of streamline that back onto the body. And I'll jump back in front of the eyes again. Also going to tie in, this is actually just some medium brown Krystal Flash. Again, you can kind of choose which colors you'd like on this. Want it to be a little darker, you can use a bronze or something along those lines. A copper would work too. Really depends on where you're, especially if it's saltwater where you're planning on fishing these. But if you want a lighter color or a darker color, or maybe more of a glassy kind of shrimp color, go with more of a white and a pearl or something like that. Got those tied in. There were about 4 strands of that Krystal Flash as well. And lastly, I'm just grabbing another little clump of fox hair here, pulling out the shorter pieces. Once this gets wet, it'll kind of streamline down a little bit. It still does keep some volume pretty well, but it doesn't sleek down quite as much as a bucktail Clouser, but that's why it's a good pattern for a shrimp, because it keeps a little more body to it. Flip those over. I kind of had a little split in my hairs there, wanting to go different directions, so. Alright, I want this to be a little shorter, kind of help taper this fly, so right about there. I don't want it as long as my tail, so I'm going to kind of make the ends of this meet right about at the end of the shank of the hook there, or at the back of the hook. So I'm just going to lay this down right up front here and just start making securing wraps. That up, I'm going to do a couple securing wraps underneath just to really make this solid, especially without glue. finish. Last thing is to trim your flash, my Krystal flash here. I want that just a smidge longer than the tail on this fly. Not too long, just a little longer. And this fly can be used for bass, it can be used for trout as well. If you tied it in some different colors, you could probably get away with kind of a crawfishy type pattern if you did it in some olives or maybe some burnt oranges. It's great saltwater fly, but also has a lot of applications for freshwater as well. Bass, carp, trout, again, probably some other species too. Might even be able to get some catfish or something like that on this fly. So. Great all-around pattern. Again, just depends on what hook you tie it on, whether you go to freshwater or saltwater, but simple tie and you can use it just about anywhere. So, thanks for watching. Check us out on Instagram and YouTube. Subscribe and keep an eye out for our next video. Thanks.